6.4 was a math lab. They just wanted you to play with your calculator, play with the table of values that you've been given, which hopefully you've printed out or at least have handy, and play with this diagram. What we're really doing is we're taking this diagram that shows the movement around a circle, the unit circle, and we're putting it in a linear format. So basically, where are you going as you go around here? If you were on a Ferris wheel and this was your seat and it started to go this way, you'd be going up to 1 and then down to 0 and then down to -1 and then back up to your starting position. So, and that's broken up in terms of pi as you go. So we're just going to plot that in a linear format. So we started at 0 because y is 0 at the beginning of the circle. And then we move up to the first exact value, which is pi over 6. Which shows us that sine is a half. Now you've already been playing with those values and you should be able to understand where that came from. So I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm just going to write in a point where it goes to a half at pi over 6. I've broken these up into sixths of pi. Now I'm just going to skip all this middle stuff and go to pi over 2 because at pi over 2 I'm up at 1, so that's a really clear point. And you can see that these other ones, they go along in a nice little pattern so that at pi over 4, which is at 45 degrees, sine is 1 over root 2, which is about 0.7. So I could put that one in somewhere around there. And pi over 3 would be the other one. Root 3 over 2 is approximately 0.87, so it's really quite close to here. And you can kind of see what's happening with the graph is that we've got kind of a half circle forming here. And what's going to happen after that is that this half circle is going to drop down through pi, and then it's going to repeat its pattern so that it comes down at pi over 2 and -1, and then up through 2 pi. So this pattern, this little rolly thing that's going to look a lot nicer on your calculator than it does on my board, shows us the top half of the circle and the bottom half of the circle. It's just kind of laid out so that it's linear. Now, there's some things that you need to know about this graph. First of all, you have to remember some stuff from physics, like amplitude and period. So the amplitude of this wave is actually the height from here to here, right? And the amplitude of a sine wave, just a normal one, is 1. It goes from 0 to 1. It goes from 0 to -1. So the amplitude is always going to be 1. What we're establishing here is just a basic sine wave because this would just keep going on forever. It would go backwards this way too. And this is the core chunk of it that shows what pattern repeats. It's a periodic wave, which means it's going to keep repeating the same pattern over and over again. So, the next thing we need to recognize is our period. Now, the period of a wave is where the pattern repeats. So it started here, it ends here, there, the pattern repeats, it's back to where it started in the pattern, which means that the period of a sine wave is 2 pi. And that's pretty much what you need to know to get started on this stuff.